Hey guys, welcome to another weekly focus. So let's go straight into it and let's start with a trade recap. And so let's look at this NAS position. So if you guys remember from last week, when I did the update, we had price moving to the downside and we had this sells on NAS100, and then eventually we had price moving to like 9%, but I was able to secure just about 6.39% from this trade. And I think that was yesterday, I tried another sell on NAS100, but I closed this today because first, today is Friday and I really didn't like the price action as of now, and I closed this sales, and I'll reevaluate and reanalyze and see what happens next week. So that's it. There was a break even for NAS after having this 6.39%. And then let's look at gold. I took a loss on gold, so I think I had a sell here. So I had a sell attempt on gold right here, and this was a losing trade. The sells didn't play out. I took -1 on this. I reattempted the sells again. I think that was yesterday. I reattempted the sells and I still didn't like the price action as at now. So I closed the second one at break even. So the first position on gold, this initial sell, it took me out. That was -1. So for this week, we just had, say, NAS100 close at 6.39 break even, and then gold took a hit on this one, -1, and then a break even. All right, so with that being said, let's look at what we have for next week. So let's start with the DXY and on the daily time frame. So looking at the DXY from the daily time frame, this is what I have to say on the DXY. It might be a little bit confusing now, especially if you're trading indices on this, on say crypto, on these other pairs. Normally the DXY has like a negative correlation with, say, the NAS, US30 and the S&P, but right now it's a little bit funny. So you just want to be like cautious with the pairs you're trading and the pairs you're picking to focus on. All right, so looking at the DXY from the daily time frame, we had this move coming to the downside. We had buyers reacting, we had sellers stepping in, we had buyers reacting, and then we had sellers coming in again. So when you look at it, the sellers have been coming in really impulsive compared to the buys. And if I just zoom in like here, so what we had prices moving from an area like this, selling all the way to 104. Buyers reacted, and if you look at the way the buyers came in, it was very shallow compared to the sales that came in, and then we had another impulsive sales again, and we've had buyers reacting. But this is what is most interesting to me on the DXY as of today. So when you look at this reaction here, we had buyers stepping in, but you can see like two massive daily candles. Now when you compare it to this one, we've had the reaction coming in from the buyers, and this is just a single candle still rejecting. So here we had two candles, and here we just have a single candle. So I'm just comparing this price action and I'm comparing it to this, and this for me looks more of a rejection compared to what we had here. So this tells me something already. It looks like the buyers are getting ready to step in on the DXY. So compared to the previous weeks where we had these sales coming in and this massive sales coming in, it might be important to look at the DXY and step back a little just with the sales, because buyers might be getting ready to come in. So we had sellers coming in, we had a pullback, we had sales. So normally when you have these impulsive sales, you should expect a pullback to come in, and then you expect sellers to come in. So looking at it at this point, I still believe sales are going to come in simply because price moves, say, making higher highs and higher lows. So we had sellers, we had a pullback, we had sellers, we've had a pullback. So we should have an attempt again from the sellers, and that's just how price moves. But when we have this attempt from the sellers, I'm looking at it from the daily time frame. I'm looking at this psychological number of 103, I'm looking at this psych number of 104, and I'm looking at this psych level of 102. So this is the game plan for me, and this is what I think is most likely going to happen. We could expect some sales to come in again from the DXY, but this sales for me, I don't think it's going to be like long lasting. Yes, we could get sales coming in, but this sales should probably struggle because when you zoom out like this, you can see what's been happening on the DXY. So price has been like in this range and for a very long time, and within this range we've still had some trends to work with. But every time price comes like here, you see there's a rejection, here there's a rejection, so we should be getting ready for some buys. Now, how far do I think these sales are going to come in? That way it's always very difficult for me to tell. We might have prices testing this cycle number of 103, and we could even see prices going lower, and after that we have, say, buyers stepping in. So that's what I'm looking at on the DXY. First we need, so long term on the DXY, for me, long term on the DXY, I'm expecting prices to move to the upside, but short term or temporarily, I'm expecting sales to come in, and these sales will just fuel this move to go to the upside, or it's just going to give the buyers more price to work with and then take prices again to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at on the DXY. And if you go off of what's happening on the daily time frame, there is a cycle number here of 103. If I zoom in, so we have this cycle number of 103. We had sellers coming in, we had buyers reacting. So normally we should have sellers attempting again. So 103 for me is a very good level where sellers might try to reattempt. And again, as I said, price might go lower than 103, but ultimately we should see buyers stepping in to take the DXY to the upside. So what we can do is step down to lower time frame. So I'll look at the 8-hour time frame real quick just to see if there's anything that makes sense on the 8-hour time frame. So I'm going to zoom in on the 8-hour time frame. So we're expecting pullbacks to come in on the daily time frame, and stepping down on the 8-hour time frame, what I like looking for on these lower time frames is, say, some kind of a trend, and if we have this trend that is getting violated, then we could see sellers coming in. So on the 8-hour time frame, there is a possibility for a trend building up here to the upside, and once we have this violation, we could see prices testing 103, pull back to test this, and then we see prices coming down, and then eventually we have buyers stepping in. So I'll step down to the 4-hour time frame just to see, because on the 8-hour time frame is not really clear. So on the 4-hour time frame, you can see there's some sort of a trend that is building up within this area. It's not the best compared to other pieces of price action, so I'm really not going to focus on that. But when you look at what's been happening on the DXY, so you had prices moving to the downside. You had at 104, you had this consolidation, there was this false break, and then you had price tanking to the downside. Now it's a similar thing right here. You have this consolidation, you have price faking out to the upside, and then you have this move. So short term, I'm still expecting sales to come in on the DXY, and then long term we should expect prices to move to the upside, provided price cannot go past an area like this, and if we cannot break below 102. So yes, there's a possibility for sales to come in, but then long term I'm still expecting prices to go to the upside for the DXY. So I'll step down to the hourly time frame just to see if there's any other thing we can work with on the DXY. So let's step down to the hourly time frame. Alright, cool. So on the hourly time frame, we have buyers coming in. There's a massive consolidation. There's this area right here, and it looked like the buyers were stepping in, but then we still have sellers coming in, like in a correction as well. It's not the best sales, by the way, but as I told you, I'm still expecting sellers to come in. We haven't tested 103, and we could test 103 and go lower than 103, and then we see buyers coming in. So short term for me on the DXY, I'm still expecting the sales. Short term, I'm still expecting sales. So you see massive consolidation. This buyers fake this move to the upside. You have sellers coming in, still expecting the same thing. Buyers fake this move here, expecting sales, and then eventually move to the upside. So I think with the DXY, we really need to pay attention to what's happening on higher time frames, and for me personally, I use the daily time frame as the higher time frame. So if we stay on the daily time frame and I'm looking at this, So normally you should have price moving, there's a pullback and a sell, price moving, pullback and a sell. So I'm expecting these sells to come in like the short-term move on the DXY, and then for the long-term move I'm expecting, say, a fail from these sells, say an area like this or this area here of this psychological number of 102, and then eventually we could see prices moving to the upside. So that's my take on the DXY. Short-term sells, long-term a move to the upside. Alright, so let's look at the first pair, and that's like US30. So let's try to make sense of what's happening on US30 and see what price is most likely going to move to. Now if you stick on the daily time frame, just going off of psychological numbers as a first principle, so we had prices trading, say, from 40. So we had price trading from 40, we had massive sales coming in all the way to 39,000, and now this is what makes this psych numbers this psychological levels very interesting. So you had price trading from 40 right here all the way to 39,000. We went through 39,000, we had a massive reaction from the buyers, taking prices all the way above 39,000. Now if buyers have to continue this move to the upside, you could expect sellers to come in to test 39,000 or even go lower than this as the sells or as a test, and then eventually you could see buyers stepping in. So short term for US30, I'm expecting sellers to come in, and if buyers prove otherwise, and then the next level I'm looking at is, say, this 40,000 level on US30. But going off of psych numbers and going off of what's happening on the daily time frame, we could see prices coming back to 39,000 or going lower than 39,000 before buyers stepping in. Now I could be wrong and you could see prices just continuing to move to the upside, but I'm saying, I'm doing my market focus going off of the principles I use, going off of the way I look at price. And so for me, once price goes through a psychological number, I'm always expecting a pullback to that psychological number. Then you could expect a reaction from that point. And as I said before, these pullbacks could come in and you see price going lower before buyers stepping in. It's very possible. Now let's see if there's anything on the 8-hour time frame. So on the 8-hour time frame, there's no trend I can work with, but when you look at the buyers that's coming in, compare these buys to the sales. So we had impulsive sales, we had buyers, reaction from sellers, buyers, slight reaction from sellers, and we'll step down to lower time frames like 4 and the hourly time frame to see what's actually happening here, and if this piece of price action can give us something meaningful. So let's see, say, the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, you had price moving to the upside, you have a pullback, you've had price moving to the upside, you have a consolidation. So trying to align ourselves with what we're looking at on the daily time frame, we have this expectation for prices to test 39,000 and even go lower than 39,000. It's very possible for us to see these pullbacks coming in deep before seeing prices move to the upside. And there's no trend I could probably say I'm working with on the 4-hour time frame. I really do not like this. So yeah, the price action right now is really crazy. So you need to be careful the way you're trading this pairs. Alright, so on the hourly time frame, we had sales coming in, consolidation, there was a break, consolidation, price moving up, consolidation. So overall, when you look at US30, we have a lot of consolidations already. There's a consolidation here, consolidation, consolidation. But one good thing about these consolidations is once you have a consolidation, you always expect price to move impulsively once it breaks. So if this break happens to the upside, then you could see an impulsive move to test 40,000, and if the break happens to the downside, you could see an impulsive move to test 39,000. So am I looking to get involved on US30 right now? No, I'm not trying to get involved in US30 as of now, simply because price has this period of these consolidations, and I really do not like this consolidation right now. So I'll try as much as possible to look at other pairs and just keep US30 aside for now. So going back again of what's happening on the daily time frame. So I think last week when we saw US30, we had price moving to the upside. We had this reaction from here, price moving again to the upside. We had this, which was an inability for prices to take out this, and I was looking at this as a potential reversal where we could see prices coming down on the DXY. So this is what I was looking at on the daily time frame, something like this. And right now we've had price moving to this area. So yes, there's a possibility we could see prices coming back to test 39,000 and even go lower. But staying on the daily time frame, let me show you another thing I'm looking at. So long term, we could see, all right, let me do this. So long term, you can see US30, there's a move to the upside, massive consolidation or massive pullback, and then period of consolidation, price moving to the upside, there's a pullback, price moving to the upside, there's a pullback. So you can step say to the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame, and all you're going to see is US30 is moving to the upside. But once it's moving to the upside, you have this period where we have this massive pullback, and that's what is currently happening on US30. So let's say, let's zoom in like right here. So on US30 again, I'm looking at this as a pullback, or like I like calling it, say, this complex pullback, where it happens with multiple waves, or like it happens with multiple waves before the move eventually kicks in. So I'm still looking at this. Long term on US30 is going to be for prices to move to the upside, but short term we should expect prices to come down. I'm looking at an area like 39,000 for a possible test, or prices could even go lower. Alright guys, so sorry I had a glitch there. So long term on US30, I'm expecting prices to move to the upside, and short term on US30, I'm expecting prices to sell to test an area like 39,000, and prices could even go lower, and then the buyers could then kick in. So with US30, I'll be looking for potential sales coming into next week, and then once this sale is complete, then I'll look for buys. Now if I'm wrong on US30, then we could see buyers continuing the move, and the next point, as I said before, is gonna be 40,000. Alright guys, let's look at the next pair, and that's NAS100. Now for NAS100, just like US30 and the S&P, it's always important you zoom out like this to see what's actually happening on NAS100. So for the longest times we've been moving to the upside, pull back like complex ones, upside, there's a pullback, price moving to the upside. So right now we've had prices pulling back. Again, I like saying complex pullbacks, but long term on NAS100 is for us to see these prices moving again to the upside. But temporarily, I'm expecting prices to pull back, and the reason I'm saying a pullback needs to come in is simple. Going off of how I trade, I use psychological levels again, and we've had price coming, say, through 18,000. We had this reaction from the buyers. We've had prices pulling back into this area of 18,000 and 19,000 right here. So with price trading within these areas, I'm expecting a pullback to 18,000. Then you could see buyers coming in. That's what I'm looking at. Now, these pullbacks could come in like really shallow, and it might not really test 18,000 depending on how impulsive the buys are. But going off of the principles I use, once price goes for a psych level, we should expect those prices to pull back to that psychological level. Then you could see buyers coming in. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's set the 8-hour time frame if it makes sense. So on the 8-hour time frame, all I see right now is like a consolidation. There was a break and then price moving up, and there's another consolidation right here. So we've been having a lot of consolidation on these indices, so it's quite difficult trading indices now. So we need to be patient as well. So let price give you more price action so you can act from this. But I'm expecting prices to test this area of 18,000. So how far are these buyers going to take prices to the upside? So if they keep taking prices to the upside and they find it difficult, then we could get that burst to the downside, get a test of say 18,000, and price could still go lower. Then eventually we'll see buyers coming in. So temporarily, like the temporal move for me on NAS100 is this sells, and the long-term move for me on NAS100 is still for this buying opportunities. So on the 4-hour time frame, let's see, 4-hour time frame consolidation, there is a break, and right now we still have prices consolidating. Yeah, so with this, as I tell you guys, once price is consolidating, we wait for it to move in the direction. Say we wait for the breakout of this consolidation, we see what direction price is moving to, and then we reanalyze the pair and then make informed decisions from there. So if you ask me personally, I'll probably not want to trade NAS as well. Probably wait and see what's happening. If price decides to come back to 18,000, to an area like this, if price decides to come to 18,000 or lower, this could be a good area for us to take buys again on NAS100, and this time we're really taking it to aim for say this psychological number of 19,000, or even go higher and look at like 20,000. So that's what I'm looking at on NAS on the 4-hour time frame. And let's see the hourly time frame. So again, the hourly time frame is just massive consolidation. There is a break, consolidation, there is a break, consolidation. So with NAS100, there's really no direction for me to work with right now. And if you trade consolidations, and then this might be easy for you. So depending on like a range breakout, you can use your range breakout strategy on something like this. But I don't do a range breakout, so that's not something I'm looking to get involved with. So NAS100, I'm just going to stand aside and wait and see what price is telling me, and then I'll reanalyze the pair. Alright guys, let's look at the S&P. So on the S&P 500 as well, from the daily time frame, price has been moving down. So we had prices moving down. Give me a second. We had prices moving down. There was a reaction from 5,400. We saw buyers coming in and then an impulsive sell. Now we had prices reacting from 5,200. We took prices all the way above 5,300. So this is it again with psych levels. We should expect prices to test 5,300 or just go lower, and then eventually we'll see buyers coming in to test an area like 5,400, and after that we could look for like 5,500 and then 5,600 and stuff like that. So long-term move on the S&P. Long-term move on the S&P, I'm expecting prices to move to the upside. Short-term move on the S&P, I'm expecting prices to come down. And the first part I'm looking at is 5,300, this psychological level right here. I'm expecting sellers to test an area like this. And as I said, these prices could go lower before buyers stepping in. But right now on the S&P 500, I'm just going to stand aside, because when you step down to like the 8-hour time frame, it's really difficult seeing what's happening here. But just like that, like NAS, this for me is like a consolidation, and we have prices moving up, and this looks like a consolidation as well. Once you step down to lower time frames like the 4-hour time frame, you start seeing so consolidation. There is a break, price moving up, there's a consolidation right here. You can look at it on the hourly time frame as well. So it's just been like consolidations, and so let me do something like this, step down to the hourly time frame. Alright, so consolidation here, an attempt to break out, consolidation, price moving to the upside, consolidation as well. So indices for me, like the trend like really good. So once it picks a direction, it starts trending in that direction. But once price is consolidating like this, it's quite difficult, because you could have a break from this and you see prices moving to the upside. You could have a break from this consolidation and you see price moving to the downside. So once I see price action like this, I turn to stand aside. And unless you're trading something like a range breakout. Now if you're trading a range breakout, then these are the opportunities you're looking for. I don't trade range breakout, so I'm just gonna stand aside. consolidation. I'm waiting for price to break out. If it breaks out to the upside like impulsively, we could see prices trading above 5400, and then we see prices moving to the upside. If that doesn't happen, you could see a break of this range to the downside. You see price testing say 5300, and then you see prices moving to the downside as well. So there's a lot of patience that we need to employ on this pairs. So for now, I'm just going to stand aside on the S&P 500 as well. So let's look at say gold. So gold on the daily time frame, consolidation here, price. So this was the consolidation we was looking at before. We had price moving out, there was a pullback, price move, inability to make new highs, and I was expecting this to sell again to an area like 2300. So once we had prices, so I'm going to show you this area I was looking at. So we had these sales coming in. I was expecting a test of this area 2400, and for us to see an impulsive reaction from the sellers to take prices to the downside. So now this didn't happen, and we had buyers stepping in again, which is quite okay, because if you're trying to sell, you need buyers. If you're trying to buy, you need sellers as well. So we had buyers coming in, sellers reacted, we've had buyers coming in. So right now on gold, I'm looking at an area like 2400. Let me zoom into this area. So I'm looking at this area of 2400, this psych number. Price came through, price went back to say trading between 2400 and 2500. We should expect sellers to test 2400, and you could probably see those prices then going even lower, because that's what I was looking at. Like long term for gold, I was expecting prices to move lower to test 2300, but then the buyers have come in again, which is quite good, because on lower time frames like the 8-hour time frame, you can look at this as pullbacks. So first we had this area, there was an inability, this is a high price date, and right here we had an inability for these buyers to make new highs. So this inability for buyers to make new highs, we had this area of 2500, price couldn't even get to this psych number, and we had this massive reaction from the sellers. So looking at this on lower time frame, I'm still having these buyers that gold is going to move again to the downside. And when you look say on the 4-hour time frame, all right, cool. So on the 4-hour time frame, we had sellers coming in, another attempt from the sellers, which it failed, but then we've had buyers coming in. So now we're trading between 2400 and 2500. So how do we get involved in a situation like this? We should expect sellers to come in to test 2400 and still probably even go lower before expecting buyers to come in. Now if we're expecting sellers to test 2400, so this is what we're looking at, a move say from here to here. Now on gold, this is very massive as well, and it can give us a lot of trading opportunities. So when you look at it on the hourly time frame, this is what I'm looking at. So there is probably a trend that is building up on the hourly time frame right now like this, and I think I like what's happening on gold. So we've had this price moving to the upside, say this pullback coming in. Once we get a proper break from this, and then I'll be expecting sellers to come in and test an area like 2400 or even go lower than 2400. So that's what I'm looking at on gold. I still have these buyers for sales on gold compared to the other pairs. So gold, I think this is a pair I'll pay attention to next week, because I think it's closer to the move compared to the other pairs, and you can look at it again from the daily time frame. It gives you much more reasons to take those sales. So looking at this right here, looking at this right here, we should expect prices to pull back, and then buyers might react from this point, and you see prices going to the upside. But because we had price moving to the upside, consolidation, there was a move, there's that inability, I'm expecting prices to test this area, and we have all of this area to work with. So a test of this area and even a drop, then we could see sellers coming in all the way to 2300, and that's a lot. Like that's a lot of pips or a lot of price action we could probably have to play with. So that's it for gold, and I'm just going to go like quick take on the DXY again. So for the DXY, I'm expecting sales to come in temporarily. So I'm expecting sales to come in again, show me that there's an inability for prices to go through to say 102, and we could see buyers stepping in impulsively. That's it for the DXY. So something like this, and then a potential move to the upside. On the S&P 500, just a recap as well, we'll look at it on the daily. So on the daily time frame, price is moving to the upside. You should expect this complex pullbacks to come in, so I'm expecting prices to come back for some sales just to give us a good price to work with, and then we'll look for an opportunity to buy. On NAS100 is the same thing. You can step say to the daily time frame and it's going to show you. So we're looking at what we have: price moving to the upside, price moving to the upside, there's this pullback, price moving to the upside, there's this pullback, so we should expect prices to move to the upside. So on NAS100 we should expect prices to move to the upside and even take out an area like this. Yeah, it is very possible, but for this to happen we need to see sellers coming in, that inability for sellers to go lower than say this area 18,000, or inability for prices to break below 17,000, then we could see buyers coming in. Now the sales might not come in if the buys are really strong. You could see price taking off from an area like this, you get a test of 19,000 and you see price getting here, and you see price moving to the upside. So these are all possibilities I'm looking at for next week, and that's why it's very important for us to do the market focus, because you're looking at different scenarios and different possibilities for you to get involved. So US30 as well, on the daily time frame, we're expecting temporal sales, long term, and move to the upside as well. So we did gold already, and that's it. All right guys, so thank you, and if you find this interesting, don't forget hit that like and subscribe button. Be patient with these indices, be patient with the DXY. The pair I'm really focused on is gold, and I'll pay attention to what's happening at this level. If price gives me say a reaction where it's quite difficult for the buyers to take prices to the upside, then it just goes into align with what we've been looking at from the daily for 8 hours and then the hourly time frame, where we could see sellers coming in, and then eventually we'll see prices moving to the upside. Now the most difficult thing again at this point is waiting for that inability to happen, and then we'll look for those sales to take prices to like say 2400. So that's what I'm looking at for this week, and those are the pairs I'm going to focus on, or that's a pair I'll focus on. I think gold is a pair I'll focus on next week to look for these selling opportunities before this buyer step in again. So that's it for this week guys, and let's see what happens once the market open next week. All right guys, be patient and stay consistent, and if you like this, hit that like and subscribe button, and see you during the next one. Bye for now.